Howdy and welcome to the Fi Guys Crash Course. This is our recap of the recap. That's not really what we're doing here today. Now, actually, normally on Friday's episode, we recap what we did on Monday. But if you watched Monday's episode, you know that it was actually a recap of the entire Fi Guys Crash Course. And you're probably thinking, Dom, what is this? What are you talking about? Go back and listen to Monday. Highly recommend it. We talk all about what we learned. But for today's episode, rather than recapping the recap, we thought, well, that's kind of redundant. That doesn't make much sense. We're talking a little bit about why is it so difficult to become rich and wealthy? A little bit of a philosophical conversation today, as well as a viewer mailbag and a win of the week, per usual. But let's get started right here, right now. Chris, where should we start today? And welcome in. How was your week?
A week was great. No, week was great. Really fun week. Where I want to get started, where we kind of talked about this off podcast, is why is it so hard to get rich? Because we were talking about why did we even start the Fi Crash Course in the first place? Like, why did we take the time to create these 12 episodes, to structure them, to record them, to record recordings of them, and then do a recap of the said recordings? Like, it's a lot of work. And then we started talking about, like, why is it so difficult for people to stay on the path? Why is it so difficult to achieve financial independence, to be able to achieve this? And no one said it's easy. And I think too many people come into this thinking like the path needs to be easy for me. And if it isn't easy, then it's just not right for me, or I'm doing something wrong and I can't even try. And yeah, so that's just kind of what I go about is like, why did we create this entire thing? And why do we think that this is the way to go? Why do we think that teaching people the general principles, the mindset, and then letting them kind of figure it out themselves is better than telling them every single tactic and trick and everything they need to do, step after step after step, to be able to achieve that? Before I kind of tell my parts, what do you think, Dom?
No, I think you made an interesting point right there. Is we're leaving a lot of room for human what's like the word I'm thinking of, right? So rather than giving them every step, like you were saying, every step of the way, like a robot, right? You have to tell a robot exactly what to do at every step of the way because it's not going to understand. It's not going to pick up what we're kind of getting at, right? But for us, we're teaching humans, right? We're not chaining, we're not teaching a GPT model, right? We're letting you guys lead the path, right? We're letting you guys follow the path with breadcrumbs, and we're hoping that along the path, you're getting excited. You're finding your path, right? Because the personal side, what we've kind of learned on this journey is personal side of personal finance is very personal, right? And without knowing you and your situation, well, we can't give you specifics, right? But we can lead you on the path and show you the path and kind of start revealing the best way to go about it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's so interesting about this is, I've bought courses in the past, I've read books, and oftentimes they get outdated rather quickly, right? Because that's, well, you go here, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and that's the end of story, and everything will be the same for all time. But we know that that's simply not the case. But if we can lead you down a path, and along that path, things start to change, well, you're going to be a-okay when that path does change, when those options do get mixed up, because, well, you're okay with change. And that's part of what this episode and part of what this entire course has been about. But um, it's been a journey. It's been a wild journey, Chris.
Yeah.
What's I go for it.
One thing that I was thinking, while I was the reason that we create the way that it is, and I know that people don't like it. They want the steps. Like, just tell me exactly what to do so I can do it. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been an advisor for a long time. I've been a financial coach. And what I've discovered is if you tell people exactly what to do, they quite simply will not do it. It just becomes too simple. It becomes commoditized, and they just won't. And I wish there was a way to fix that, but you can't. So I'd rather teach somebody how to think, how to go about the path, because when you give someone specifics, then they know exactly what to do, but they won't do it. But if you tell someone in generalities, they get to use their own intuition. They get to not only discover what they're trying to discover, they're discovering themselves in the process, and they're growing and they're learning along the path, along their own individual path, because no one can tell you exactly what to do. we've talked a lot about philosophy on here, and one of the things that I always loved is Buddhism. I study Buddhism, Taoism, Stoicism. But one of the things that I've always read and I never understood was if you meet the Buddha on your path, you must kill him. And I've always thought to myself, why would you want to kill the Buddha? He's great, all this stuff. But if the Buddha is on your path, then it's not the true Buddha, because no one should be on your path. People can guide you from their path, but they cannot come to your path to tell you exactly what you have to do. You need to learn. You need to grow. You need to continue to try to go out into this jungle, try to figure out these hard truths in order to come back and tell other people what it is that you've learned. And that's the fun part. That's the reason we created the 5 Crash Course to be the way that it is, where it's far more about the mindset and the generalities that you can apply to yourself. Because there is no way we have thousands of listeners. Like, we're not just talking to you, listener, right now. We're talking to everybody. And I can't tell you and your neighbor versus somebody in Georgia versus somebody in Florida what to do differently. But you know that information. You have to continue to work and grow and get a little bit better every single day until you find the path for yourself. Because my path is different than Dom's path, which is different from your path. And that's okay. That's actually the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so interesting too is when you give someone the exact instructions, right? And something does change, well, they tend to give up anyways because it's not exactly the same. So,
Because the only constant in life is this change. And I've bought courses too, Dominic, where it's the exact same thing. Just do these steps exactly. And then life changed. Things just changed. The internet changed, the way that emails changed, things changed. And if you only have this one path and you don't know how to update it, well, now you're just, up the creek without a paddle and you're just stuck and you don't know what to do. But if you were to learn the systems and the processes, then you can be like, all right, this is what I can tweak and change in order to be adapted, not only to my situation, but also to the current times. And that way, when it changes again, because it will change again, you can change with it. Because this 5 Crash Course that we just completed isn't just for right now in 2025. Ideally, someone could listen to this 5 Crash Course in 2035, 2045, and it'd be about the same information. Things will change. I guarantee that. And not everything will be exactly relevant, but it should be 99% exact same things because human nature remains constant.
yep. Yeah. And I think part of it is learning how to learning to be adaptable, learning how to just get through things when they are difficult, when they are challenging, and when you're in uncharted water. A ship is safe in the harbor, right? Unless it's like 1941, but a ship is usually safe in the harbor. But that's not where that's not what a ship was built for. A ship was built to sail, right? It's dangerous out there. That's what it's meant for, right? So you can't stay in the safety of the harbor all your life. You have to get out there. You have to keep learning. And one of the things that you said last episode that I loved was you guys have to fail. You're gonna fail. Maybe privately, maybe publicly, maybe financially, maybe you're going to lose money. In fact, you are going to probably lose money, right? Happens to us all, right? But that's important. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. The more you can fail and learn from the failure, the quicker we can go to success and start to see a life that's worth living.
And I think that's the key point, Dominic. The reason that we want to have this conversation is why is it so hard to get rich? Why is it so difficult? And I think it's because people are afraid to fail. They're afraid to push themselves outside of their comfort zones. They try to stay on the standard path, go to college, get a degree, go get a job, work for 40 years. After those 40 years, you can finally retire and then you get to die. Like that is the path. Like if you tell me that is the path, that is insanity. Just because things are normal does not mean that they're good. I'm currently reading a book called The Myth of Normal. And the author just kind of takes us through our current society of like what the norm is and how unnormal that is for human beings of all of time. And again, just because something is normal, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that you want to. It's just like your mom told you when you were a kid. If all your friends were jumping off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Well, I hope not. I mean, if you're going to jump into like a pond or something, that sounds fun. But like, just because everyone's going on a path doesn't mean that you have to. You need to be so self-assured in yourself that everyone could be going one direction and you know that you're going in the right direction. even if you don't really know, if you believe, like, that conviction in yourself is, I think, the most important thing, because we've talked about it a lot. And I say it constantly to my clients. The only thing that matters at the end of the day when you try to lay your head down on that pillow is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. Because if you're going around trying to be financially independent, trying to get rich for all these other reasons external to yourself, none of it matters. And that's why it always starts with why.
That's tough, right? I mean, it's easy to talk about. It's super easy to talk about, but it is difficult to, go to bed at night and not like yourself. It's very difficult, right? And it's not something you can change overnight. It takes time, and it takes wins, and it takes losses, and it takes improvement. And if anything, this entire channel is completely about it's all about improvement, all about pushing yourself, learning more, and improvement. Right. Did you want to mention? I'm curious, Chris. I mean, with that being said, what was your favorite episode of the last 12 episodes of the Crash Course?
Yeah, my favorite episode was definitely episode 11. That was the one that it was the most philosophical. It was the least like let's talk about the specific steps, because even though we didn't really go specific like do this, then this, then this, there were still a lot of steps just because it is money and there is still a math component to it. So we did talk a lot about the math. But on episode 11, we complained about the current college system that we have. We complained a lot about some of the issues that we have, and we ended that with all of these things are true. And what are you going to do about it? How are you going to save yourself? Because no one is coming to save you. You need to save yourself. You need to continue to learn, to grow, to get better, to overcome the challenges that we all face. So many people of our society have debt, debt from trying to go to school and trying to learn and get better. And I think one day in the future, we will look back as a species on this time, and a certain group of a generation, mainly the baby boomers, will be looked at very poorly, that they were willing to sacrifice their young in order for them to continue to have social security, in order for them to continue to live a better life. I heard a comedian recently, and he was talking about just the insanity that is college debt. And he said that, I mean, essentially it's true that you're basically getting a small business loan, but it's a small business loan that you can't get rid of at bankruptcy. And I want you to imagine you're 18 years old, just graduated high school, and you walk into your local bank and you sit down and you say, "Hey, I need a small business loan for $100,000. They go, "Okay, well, what's your business idea?" And they go, "All right, hear me out. I am going to go to school for the next 4 years and just get wasted every night, hang out with friends, go to the gym. I'm probably not even going to go to school most of the time. Yeah, that's the plan. And then after
Pretty
it,
much,
I
yeah.
will pay you back $28 for the rest, or for the next 200 years. Want to take
Oof,
that bet?
not great.
Not
That's
great.
not
And
great.
that's what we've done to people. We've told everyone, do this. They just didn't have to go into the bank and ask for that. Because if they did, they'd get laughed out. But instead, we as a society told them, no, it's fine. We'll just give it to you. Here's this debt that you can't get rid of. Go for it. You're 18 years old. You're an adult. Have fun.
That's actually an interesting thing. Maybe they should start like in order to get a loan to go to college, you have to come up with a full presentation business plan on like how you're gonna because like if I came in, it's like I would love to get that underwater basket weaving 4 years at Arizona State. The bank should be like, no, no, there's no jobs for that. You can do it if you want to fund yourself, save your money and do it, but no, I'm not gonna do that. But the bank is a soulless, godless creature
Well,
who
and,
only
and
cares about its bottom line, and it will
And
it
that's the
will give you
discussion of
anything.
when government gets involved and they backed every student loan, because education should be a God-given right. But if you did it with a free capitalist system where it's like, hey, the banks are going to be in charge and they're going to be on the hook in case things go wrong, rather than everybody, which means nobody is on the hook for when everything goes wrong except for the individual that took out the loan. So
It's a
it's
mess.
crazy. And to say that it should all be full capitalism or it should be all full socialism, there's pathology on both sides. They both don't work very well alone. And you want that dynamic pull. You want the capitalists should be happy that they're socialists. The socialists should be happy that there's true capitalists, to have this push and pull. Because if it was just full capitalist system, well, there'd be like one company that ran them all, and we would all just it'd be you want to look at that duck, you want to go to the park, give us a token. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't work. And if it's full socialist, well, no one works hard because no one works hard. Because why would you work harder than other people if you're not going to get a reward? And if you're the person sitting here saying, well, other people should do that, why don't you do that? Because no one will.
So true. It's so true. It's so true. A quick question, Chris. Do you think that educate like when you get a loan to get a college degree, right? Do you think that should be like if you went and got bankrupt, you went in bankruptcy, right? Do you think that loan should be eliminated as well? Or do you
100%.
think we should keep it the current form of
No,
that? No, like you can't even bankruptcy doesn't get rid of the loan.
no, that's crazy. It's crazy. No, it should definitely be able to be taken out with bankruptcy. If you go and you get a small business loan and you go and try to start a company and you fail because you're incompetent, we don't sit there and say like, well, that's too bad for the rest of your life. You're done. Like
Yeah.
you've tried. You legitimately tried. You did it in good faith and you failed. That's what the system is there for, is to help to build you up. And that's where, again, where I talk about this dynamic tension between the left and the right, between the yin and the yang, between capitalists, the Republicans, Democrats, whatever words you want to use for these. You want that dynamic tension because when someone fails, because we all will fail, you want someone there to help to pick you up. There's too many people that look back on their life and they say, well, I never failed because look where I am now. Because they've won and they chose to forget about all their failures. And they only want to look at where they are now, not of how they had to get there, not of all the people that got them to where they are, because no one gets through this life alone. If you're listening to this podcast, even if you had the worst childhood, somebody cared for you. Somebody got you to be where you are, because no one comes into this world or goes out of this world alone. Well, you can maybe leave this world alone, but that's your fault.
That's kind of sad. But yes, it's true. It's true. Well, let's change the vibe a little bit. We're going to be switching it up. We're going to be going on to our viewer mailbag. Anything else you want to mention before we close it out? Perfect, Chris. Let's do it. So, if you're new here, this is a part of the podcast where we have someone from the community reach out to us and they looking for a little bit of help. And we try our best to give our wisdom and our knowledge, our vast knowledge. And I've read today's viewer mailbag, and boy, can we offer some help today. All right. So let's get right into it. So for today's viewer mailbag, why does it feel like everyone is rich? How about that? Interesting mailbag here today. So howdy, Fi guys. Howdy. I'm only 16, but some days I feel like I'm already years behind everybody else. Every time I open up my phone, another kid my age, or maybe a little bit older, is posting pictures on a tropical island, talking about their business or bragging about their latest crypto win. They've got Shopify stores, sick YouTube channels, and even passive income coming in while they sleep. That sounds passive to me.
Neat.
Yep. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here after school scrolling through TikTok. Maybe you should delete it.
I
Trying to
think I
figure
see the
out
problem.
how to make trying to figure out how to make an honest dollar online. That's it's tough to make an honest dollar in general, but online is even worse. But let's keep going. And I keep coming up empty. I've tried a few little side hustles, flipping old video games, offering to mow lawns, and even brainstorming app ideas I like. But nothing has stuck. And honestly, it's a mess with my head. Are all these kids really that far ahead, or is it just smoke and mirrors? People flexing for likes and clout? I can't tell anymore. I don't want to look back at these teenage years and realize I wasted the best time to start. If you were 16 again, what would you really do to build skills? Earn your first dollar, honestly, and set yourself up for financial independence without falling for these endless gurus selling courses. I'm not chasing some overnight Lamborghini dream. I just want real, no BS advice from people who've been in the trenches and come out the other side. From 16 feels late, but 16 feels late to build my fate. Wow.
Dom, I feel like a very common, like the most common thing that we hear on listener viewer mailbags is, I think I'm behind and there's no way I can catch up. And it's sad because we were listening at first. It was like 40-year-olds saying that. And it's like, okay, I get it. And it's like 30-year-olds, now it's 20-year-olds, now we have a 16-year-old. Like, it's done. Like, I'm done. I can't figure it out. It's
It's bad.
well, not to laugh at him, but like it's not funny. It's sad. It's like the only thing you can do is laugh at how ridiculous it is that, again, I'm going to take it back to the system, that the system is so failed, so flawed that like everyone's just like, I just give up. Like I know what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to try anymore.
That's a hopeless place to be, and you never want to be hopeless. You gotta have at least a little bit of hope in the tank.
Before I get into my stuff, what do you think, Dom?
I start over, honestly, reborn again. It's kind of finished. Um, that's a joke. That's a joke. That's sarcasm. We do a lot of sarcasm around here. No. So one of the things that everybody falls for is comparison, right? I've fallen for it. Chris has fallen for it. It's a human experience, right? But you have to understand that everybody is getting different cards, right? If Chris and I, we fly to Vegas, we're at the blackjack table, and he gets a 10 and I get a 3, and then they deal him another card, he flips it up, he's got blackjack, he's got 21, and I've got 6. Am I going to be like, wow, oh, that sucks. That sucks for me. Like, I wish I had Chris's cards. I wish I had his life. I'm behind. Like, no, these are the cards I'm dealt. Either stand or hit or walk away. There's only a few options, right? You can't be comparing yourselves to others because everybody is getting different cards in their different game. Nobody is living the same life. Even if you're a twin, nobody's living the same life, right? We're all built a little bit different. It's kind of funny, right? When you're young, you feel like you have to hurry up. Time is, oh, we don't got a lot of time. But, you know, Ray Kroc, he became a millionaire at 52. Colonel Sanders, the legendary Mr. KFC, he didn't become a millionaire until he was 62, right? Sam Walton, 44. You ever been to a Walmart, right? These things take time, and things that usually come quickly, they don't last. And if they do, so be it, right? It's better to build strengths, actionable strengths, and actionable talents and skills. And, oh, hey, I made $500 in a summer on mowing lawns. I'm going to park it all in I'm thinking of a certain coin. I'm not going to say it. A certain, Chris knows what I'm talking about.
What are
A
you talking
certain
about?
crypto play, right? And then it blows up, right? Well, cool, congratulations, right? But it's dangerous. It's dangerous to have too much of one thing, too much money at a young age, too much attention at a young age, too much of anything, right? I don't think he's late at all. I think he's just getting started. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I'm usually really nice, but you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no clue. You have so much life left to live. Dude, even when you're like 40, there's so much time on the clock. Gary Vee, and this is where I'll finish, but Gary Vee, I love Gary Vee. He's a marketing entrepreneur. Love this guy. He's really interesting, super high energy guy from New York. Um, I remember him saying this one time. It always stuck with me. He's like, dude, you can you can you can have the most amazing first, second, and third quarters and bomb and lose the game in the fourth quarter. My sister, right? She could be a scholar. She went to Harvard, right? World renowned, like, scientist. Amazing. And in the fourth quarter, she starts dealing drugs and she goes to prison and her life's over, right? Who won the game, right? There's so much time on the clock, right? There's so much time on the clock. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You still have plenty of time. But let's take some of that time to get off social media, do some introspection, and really develop yourself into the young man or young woman that you plan to be, whatever one you were or are. That's a
Yeah.
different podcast. But yeah, I'm just going to toss it to you, Chris.
Because even the opposite's true, right, Dominic? Like you
Yeah.
could be the greatest person for the first 3 quarters and then lose it in the end. Or you can be the worst person for the first 3 quarters and then really change it in the end.
Yeah.
I always think about this, like what's the most important thing? And like, what's the one thing that all people have in common? We all have 24 hours in a day. Like it all comes down to we all have time. Like, would you rather be Warren Buffett at 99 years of age and billions of dollars and not much time left? Or would you be you right now at 16 years old with no money and 70 years, 80 years before you even hit his age? Like, I don't understand where it comes down to. Again, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything. And too many people are willing to look at, myself included, they'll sit there and they'll focus on the one thing they don't have and ignore the infinite number of things that they do have. But the fact that you're 16 years old, that you have parents that probably love you, that you have the site, that you can send an email, that you have the ability to go on TikTok, even though you should probably get off of it, like that is all so cool. So to our listener, first off, I just want you to take a deep breath. Most of what you see online is not real. Most of what you see online is just the highlight reel of somebody's life. The 16-year-old millionaire, and yes, that is very much in quotes, is a great story that gets a good amount of clicks. But they are so extremely rare and often extremely over-exaggerated. So you can't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's staged snapshots. And I always say that you can't compare your insights to somebody else's curated outsides, meaning that you know internally what you're thinking about, what's going on in life. But when you look at somebody else, you just sit there and you take it as like, whatever I see must be true, not knowing what's going on. And that includes for us as adults. Like when you look over at your neighbor's house and they just got that new boat, that new RV, that new car, and you're like, man, they must be doing so well. As a financial advisor, as someone as a coach, I have seen people's real budgets. And most of the time, it's all just debt the entire way down. You can't compare somebody else without knowing what's going on. And this is something that's important. None of us know what's going on in other people's lives. We just don't. Unless they tell us. And even there, you have to take it with a grain of salt because people lie constantly.
Yeah, it's true.
Biggest advantage to our listener that they have is time. Compounding isn't just about money. It works for your skills, for your relationships, for your habits. So if I was 16 today, I would start building good habits, good relationships, good skills now so that they can compound and you'll lap most people later. Do today what others won't so that tomorrow you can do what others can't. Focus on skills before income. The income will come, but if you don't have the skills, it doesn't matter. You need to learn things at the age of 16 and for your entire life that create value. And things like that would be communication, writing skills, maybe coding. I don't know, maybe with AI, maybe not, but basic sales, problem solvings, the ability to relate to other human beings. Because money follows the ability to solve problems. All entrepreneurs, regardless if you think they're good people or bad people, millionaires, billionaires, at some point, somebody solved problems. That's the nice thing about the capitalist society, is that someone who's able to create value in the system, that someone said that the money that I brought, whatever you bring to me has more value, that I am willing to give up my life energy for said value. We might all sit around and say that we hate Amazon, but how many of us have Prime subscriptions? Because we're all hypocritical. You might say that you do it, but look what you actually do. Don't trust what someone says. Don't even trust what they do. Trust the pattern of who they are. So to our 16-year-old listener, I want you to start to experiment with small, real-world side hustles. It sounds like you already started it. That might be babysitting, tutoring, lawn care, I don't know, freelance gigs, whatever. You can resell the sneakers that you've been doing in electronics. Anything that lets you get some practical or some practice delivering value and dealing with people. That's the most important thing. But if you sit there and say, oh man, I just took this new thing and I didn't make $1 million, I'm not a billionaire from trying this new side hustle, everything that you do is going to feel like a failure. So if I was you, I would read, and more importantly, I would listen like crazy. Books, podcasts, blogs. Like just feed your mind with more than just your social feed, more than what's on TikTok. Knowledge compounds much faster than cash does at your age. You're at that time in your life where you just need to keep on learning. And that means that you need to go out into the community and find mentors, coaches, teachers, local entrepreneurs, even us here at the Fi Guys. People who can give you real feedback and open doors for you, something that we can't do for you here at the podcast. But there are people in your real world right now that can, because real relationships beat any how to get rich courses. your net worth really is your network really is your net worth. Not in that if I know a million people that I'm going to be a millionaire, but if you know people deeply, people that want to help you, they will, they will build you up. But that doesn't mean you go out there trying to make these things with the intention of becoming a millionaire. You go out there try to help people, and people will naturally try to help you back. It's reciprocity. It's bound to each one of us. So I want you to try to save something from every dollar you earn, even if it's just a few bucks. Saving a little bit of money will start to build that habit that you want to compound in your actions. Because right now, it sounds like you're like, I want to get to a millionaire status immediately. And even if you did, even if you won the lotto tomorrow, you would lose it all. You need to learn to play the long game. Your 20s aren't the finish line. Your 30s aren't the finish line. Your 40s aren't the finish line. They're all just launching pads. Consistent effort over years beats short-term get-rich hacks. So what you need to do is you need to redefine what success looks like for yourself. Wealth isn't just about money. If there's one thing we learned from the FI Crash Course, it's about freedom, purpose, and choice. So I want you to figure out what matters to you. And I guarantee you, it's not what TikTok says should matter to you. Enjoy being 16 years old. Build friendships, learn, fail, try weird things. Because the experiences that you collect right now will shape the opportunities and the person that you will become in your life. And that is what I wish someone told me when I was 16. That's all I got. Best of luck.
That's all you need. Best of luck. We're going to moving on to our win of the week. I'm going to start off with my win of the week. My win of the week is last night we went out, some friends of mine. It's kind of funny. We were driving down the road on I'm not going to say the road, but we were driving down the road. And we're like, man, oh, look at that car. Look at that. That's sick. And then we saw like another, like, oh, look at that car. I was like, wait a minute. There's must be like a car show going on down here or something. And they all started like turning left. And I was like, oh, I was like, you should go to this car show. And we ended up, there's like a little, there was a Little Caesars on the corner. And we're like, yeah, let's get a $5 like hot and ready. Not $5 anymore, apparently. $8. But it's still for $8. And I'm like, it's pizza, right? And we got the pizza. We pulled into the car show. We had pizza. We went and saw some really cool classic cars. There's a thrift shop right now. I'm giving everything away. You can find this easily now. There was a thrift shop on the corner too, and we went to the thrift shop and got some stuff too there, and it was a fun night. So that is my win of the week. Chris, what do you got for your win of the week?
Yeah, so my win of the week, if you guys are just listening to us, you won't be able to see it. But if you're watching on Spotify or on YouTube, you might notice I have some what looks like hickeys on my neck, but they're not hickeys. They're burn marks or scratches. I started going back to jujitsu. Just so you guys know, I took a month off because in the transition from moving from Arizona to San Diego, we lost health insurance for a month just because my wife was switching over companies. And, you lose labs for a little bit. And since I own my own company, I don't have health insurance through my company. And, the one thing that I've seen in life, one major thing when it comes to medical or when it comes to debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy is medical debt. So I knew that jujitsu is a dangerous sport where even if you're good, there's a good chance of getting injured. So I took a month off to, make sure that health insurance came through. And I started up coming again this week, going back now that I have my insurance card. And man, I could just feel like after the first training day, like I have chokes all over me. My elbow hurts a little bit. My fingers hurt again. And like, I was just smiling all day. Like it was just such a good way to start the day to go out and like fight people and, build those relationships, be better with like my friends and everything like that. So yeah, get started jujitsu again, which has been highlight for me this week.
I love that. It's kind of funny. I imagine you. It's like, I don't know, maybe you're walking down the street. It's like somebody like bumps into you. Like, oh yeah, you want to fight? And you're just like, I already beat up one guy today. Let's make it two. Let's go. I'm already prepped and primed, baby. Let's do it. I'm ready to go. But that's hilarious. You're like, I woke up, beat someone up. It's a good day. I'm smiling. I love it. I love it.
Or woke
I'm
up
so
and
happy.
got beat up, and it's still fine.
Exactly. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm happy that you're back. And I think that's something we can all learn from too, right? To play the game smart. Now, obviously, you love jujitsu. I mean, you really love jujitsu, but it's a risk, right? To do it without health insurance. So I think that's a really smart play. And we got to remember, guys, what we want and what we should do is oftentimes not the same thing, right? So make sure to make the smart decisions like Chris here and, you know, be smart. Remember the speech? Be smart. Cool. So that's going to do it for me on my win of the week as well. So I guess I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's it for the course. That's it. We're done. We're done. Sad times.
Bye,
Sad
everybody.
times.
Have a great rest of your life.
Have a great rest of your life. Later, guys. No, we'll be back Monday, as always, guys. As always. But I hope you guys really enjoyed the course. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you don't know what we're talking about, check out episode 100. That's kind of where the Five Guys really start. And then just go from there. Go from there. Just start binging from there. And you're going to be worlds ahead of where you started. But with that being said, I'm Dominic. He's Chris. Make sure to share the podcast, like it, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys back here next week. Okay?
Later.
Later, guys. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.